I'm ready when you are, I suppose.
I'm set.
All right. Give me a countdown.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to the Random Thread Podcast, a place where silly nonsense is the norm. I am your host for this episode, Travis Hackett, and with me is the Random Thread crew, 2 Groovy, Glaive, and Tapazard. Today's episode will be a focus on us. We'll be going around the table, asking questions as to who we are, our backgrounds, our fandoms, and everything else that makes us unique and special. So without any further delay, let's dive right in and have some fun. Alright, our first question will be an easy one. What is your preferred name or persona, and where do you come from? That second part can be your state of residence, or wherever your persona calls home. Let's go in a alphabetical order, so that puts 2 Groovy at first. You have the floor.
Okay. Well, Too Groovy is the main name I go by. I do have a fursona named Wheels, but I don't really use them at all. No RPs or anything. And as far as locations, I live in the bluegrass state of Kentucky.
Alright. That's short and sweet and to the point. Cool.
That's how that's on a roll. Or try to, anyway.
Yeah. That puts Glaive next with the same question. What is your preferred name or persona, and where do you come from?
That's an excellent question, dear Travis. I've had several aliases over the years, ever since aliases were a thing when Xbox came out. My preferred alias at the moment is Random Block, but that could change within a year. Honestly, it really could.
I can attest to this. I can attest to this with the 40 plus episodes we did with freaking my freaking half-blind reaction to Gravity Falls.
Disney shows, yeah, Gravity Falls is one of them. Yeah, I mean, I've probably used 10 different aliases, even on different online forums, even besides Discord. Like, you name, what's it called, Skype, I had a different name. I had a different name in DeviantArt. I had a different name in YouTube. Different name on everything that you can think of, really. But at the moment, it's Random Block, so we'll keep with that. But even though you call me Glaive, so yeah, there you go. See, there's because I have different names.
Oh, that's just because
I get called different stuff in different forums.
To be fair, that's just the one we know you best as.
Yeah. And other people have no. You know what? There are 2 groups of people that call me different names in different circles of friends. You guys call me Glaive, but another group of friends who I've interacted with call me Rayo.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're even from the same domain that we've met each other on, the thread.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so it gets confusing sometimes. But anyway, my residence, where I'm from, where I like to call home, is Earth. So
that's fair enough. We don't want stalkers.
Well, I mean, they could try, but because I have so many aliases, it might be a bit hard too.
This is true. I mean, just like that. I remember. I forget which video unfortunately, all the reactions had to be taken down because it's copyright. But I remember one time you joked about being in Texas.
Yeah, I've been through Texas. I've never really stayed in Texas.
But regardless,
I've been to, I think, 10 of the states.
Well, that's more than I have.
But if you want to get more specific, I'm currently on the eastern shoreboard of the United States.
All right. Well, that's...
I broke Travis. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I just don't have a segue. I guess the question goes to Topazard now. Preferred name or persona, and where do you come from?
That is the question. The Hazard is generally my preferred name. Online, just can't let have people know the real name because it gives too much power and stuff, and then that kind of fucks you over. As for where I reside, it might be more equivalent to have you ever heard of D&D? It's this weird D&D game, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The world's kind of like that. So the world's like that. It's only not nearly as dangerous. It's more panned up and played up, make things interesting. But there are spots where you don't want to go to.
Okay.
And for the most part. And where I specifically reside, just my own little homestead patch of land where I earned. That's about it for now.
Okay. And I'll answer my own question then. My preferred name and persona is Travis O'Daniel Hackett, or just Travis for short, sometimes Trav if I'm feeling even shorter, no pun intended. And I come from a planet that no longer exists because Birmingham blew the fucker up.
Damn you!
But there for a while I was going under the persona of the Wacko, which...
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was...
That's the first time I knew you by.
Yeah,
yeah.
That was the name I gave the main voice in my head, and I basically let it start playing around with, me. I was able to get the name changed after a visit to the psychiatric hospital. I realized that feeding this evil in me was not a good idea, so that's why I changed my name to Travis Hackett. I will say, though, that it does have a similarity to my real name, in that the initials are the same.
A TH?
TODH.
Oh.
Huh. I mean, I've known at least first and last name for a while since we do have a connection on Facebook, but only just barely. And that's all I'll say about that.
All right. I think we can move on to our second
round of questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Starting with Too Groovy. How did you meet or join the Random Crew?
Well, I found it like I'm sure most of us with starting with the original random thread on a little site called Eka's Portal or Eka's Portal, depending on how you're going to pronounce it. I pronounce it Eka's, but I've heard it pronounced differently. Regardless, yes, I am into that sort of thing, and I've texted and all this with message, text, whatever you want to call it, in the random thread, as well as various game threads, ranging from the renting avatars to what music you got stuck in your head, and you name it. The things that apply to me, basically.
All right.
Not much to say, really, but yeah, that's where I first found out about that, and decided to actually bring us all together with the initial Skype group, but that didn't go anywhere, so now we have this thing on Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Good answer. Glade, the same question. How did you meet and or join the Random Crew?
More or less the same way. I think it was... I forgot who made it now. It's been so long. It was either... Was it you, Too Groovy? No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. It might have been me. It might have been Joe Grounds. Joe Grounds actually made the original thread.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah. I never found out what happened to him after he fell off the earth.
He changed his name to Cosmic Sky at one point, and then...
I do remember that. Yeah, Cosmic Grounds.
Cosmic Grounds, General Sky, whatever. But yeah, the point is, he was the genesis of the actual random thread. That I cannot believe it's still going.
It's still going? Oh my gosh. Wow.
It's slowed down quite a bit
Oh.
since those heavy days.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah, I mean it's almost been around since as long as the website's been around almost.
Yeah.
Very nearly.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe 2 or 3 years short. But
Quite a documentation of the times.
right, really.
I'll use one of my dozens of internet pages to find out exactly.
Okay, well, Sugrivi does that. I pretty much stumbled upon it. I think because at the time it was always getting talked to, so it always ended up on like the front page when you go into the portal. So you were bound to always see the forum title up there. And so I think curiosity is what probably led me to find out what it was about. And then I just found out it was a bunch of people just, just chatting out the air. What? Taking the breeze. What's that saying? Oh my god.
Shooting the shits. Just
Join the breeze, join the pat.
Yeah, pretty much. Just saying what's on their mind. It was pretty much Twitter in a sense, or Instagram. I don't know, without the pictures.
eventually we did get pictures, but okay, I've got the date. The thread started by the now gentle grounds. Saturday, March 8th, 2008 at 8:47 a.m. That's 12 years.
Yeah.
Holy Jeebus.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh my.
Well, anyway, I'm done with my part now. After that mind-blowing moment.
All right then. Topazart, same question. How did you meet and/or join the random crew?
Pretty much the same as you guys. I was just came across this pretty much adventuring through everyone's like the various worlds people presented up and found them interesting. The stories they revolved around and other little things. Eventually saw you guys and I just kind of wandered in, putting my few words in. Eventually was accepted. Then for a time it was moving around. Eventually found myself in a bit of a black void. It was an interesting place for all numerous peoples and worlds they presented. Sometimes it was rough, sometimes it was bad, but eventually found my way out of it. Glad I might come back into it again. No, that was a rough time. And eventually was got to run into you folks. Stable Rocks, you four have been so far. I've seen there's been other people that have come and gone, but you three have managed to stay there.
Oh, my excuse is that I have no life, but that's just me.
My excuse is I kind of don't have a life, but I also have several debilitating mental illnesses.
Yeah. I don't have that. I don't have that claim. Yeah. Carrying on.
All right. Top, if you're done, I guess I'll answer the question.
That's about it.
All right. Well, I knew all of you through the random thread. I think I met Too Groovy first. Well, at least he was the first I spoke to. Then he introduced me to Glaive. And Topazart, we started talking on the random thread as well. I was trying to con people into doing role plays on the random thread and putting myself in precarious situations. So you always pulled my ass out of the fire, whether I wanted it or not.
You're welcome.
He was the protective guardian.
Yep.
Kind of like... And, how I really joined here is just...
Catch me a lot of shit.
I
caught a lot of shit trying to be the protective guardian.
Well, I'm still here, so...
Not all heroes wear capes, Topazart.
And if Incredibles is anything to go by, they shouldn't.
Yeah.
No capes!
Exactly.
Where is my super suit? Best line of the movie, in my opinion.
Dang, I love that one. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
I'm actually behind. I need to see the sequel.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one either myself.
Yeah, I haven't either. I saw the CinemaSins video on it. It seems like it'd be pretty good.
I've seen it. It's pretty good.
I know the basic story at the end, so of what it leads to.
Oh, well, you know a lot more than I do already then, because I know zero. All I know that it deals with the family again, but like time skipped ahead a bit.
Yeah. Anyway, so it was. Were you done, Travis, or was there still more?
That's all I had to say on that. We can go ahead and move on to the next question.
Who are sending these questions in?
I just wrote down 5 of them.
Oh.
Basic information questions.
Yeah.
Brian Khalifa.
Might as well start somewhere with a introduction
Yeah.
for
All
the
right,
inaugural video.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next question. 4th question. This one's for Too Groovy. What are your musical preferences? Your favorite genres, bands, instruments, anything of the like?
Okay, take a seat because this is going to take a while.
Strap yourself in, boys.
Okay, my musical tastes range quite a bit. I will say that I wasn't that into music, and my first ever album that was actually mine was actually Baha Men Who Let the Dogs Out. I played that so much. I still love it. I wish I still had the a physical copy of it, but maybe one day I'll get a replacement.
That was such a viral song.
I know. It was everywhere, and it was actually
made
pretty
it
good.
It even made it into the Rugrats movie.
Yeah, the Paris one.
Yep.
Rugrats Go to Paris. I was anyway. But yeah, I didn't really take much stock into music. You know, it was good, but I didn't much look into much else until about 2004. Is when I actually found out about VH1 and MTV back on the last couple days when were actually known for music. Shots fired, I know. Anyway,
Preaching to the choir.
still, but that's when I actually So while I don't like every song that came out during that time, it does hold a special place in my heart because because that's when I first took notice of oh, these music videos they're kind of like mini movies. So that's when I first started taking notice. Now, in a few years, a little bit of time goes by. I actually get I have for my 8th birthday, or 18th birthday, I'm derp. For my 18th birthday, I got the new album, AC/DC's Black Ice, and I thought this is really good. And then at this point, I'm actually starting to, up until, and this is kind of silly, but I didn't have a reliable source of internet until I had dial-up of I think most of us have had at some point or another.
Yeah.
But by then, that annoying freak that
It's a robot getting killed by a lawnmower.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong on that. Anyway, it's
that's a noise.
Oh God. Anywho, I didn't get internet in my house until late about the same time I actually 2007, which was about the same time I got actually got satellite TV as well. So there's that. And with this new power of the internet, at my fingertips whenever I pleased. I mean, I had dial-up before that, but when like reliably, like I could be on it as much as I wanted. Like I didn't have to get off because my mom was expecting a phone call or something. God, that brings me. God, that's a. Anyway, uh, getting before I get sidetracked again.
Only 90s kids will understand.
I know, right? Uh, ah. Anyway, with the power of the internet, I was looking up. I was using Wikipedia to see what else this band AC/DC did, and then using a very early YouTube. Like I still remember the old layout. It wasn't great, but it was at least user friendly to a point, I think. Anyway, using YouTube to listen to the music, and it's like, and then I realized, like, holy crap, these guys are really good. And then that led me down to the path of having nearly every single album right in a physical form. So that AC/DC was the first band I could safely say, yes, these guys are a favorite of mine. And as time went on, I've delved into other bands in a very eclectic amount of music. I'm not as familiar with, but my genres kind of range from 1950s rock and roll to late 80s hair metal, and a little of everything in between. I mean, I've got an extraordinarily quick list, like AC/DC, Black Sabbath, Bon Jovi, Bowling for Soup, Buckner and Garcia, Daft Punk, Creature Feature, one of my favorites for sure, because I've not heard a single song by them I did not like. Same thing with Daft Punk. Deep Purple, Flogging Molly, Guns N' Roses, The Gorillaz, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Justice, Led Zeppelin, Lordi, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Metallica, Megadeth, Michael Jackson. At least Thriller and Bad. I haven't heard many of his others, but he was the king of pop for a reason.
True.
Ozzy Osbourne, Pink Floyd, Power Glove. Yeah, I very much love covers of well-known things, and Power Glove being metal versions of gaming songs, but the only album I have currently is Saturday Morning Apocalypse, which is basically metal covers of cartoons I grew up with, such as X-Men, the animated Batman, Transformers, Inspector Gadget, a metal rendition of Heffalumps and Woozles from Winnie the Pooh, along with Flintstones and even Pokemon. And I'm still not done. There's Ray Stevens, who is a comedic genius, only rivaled by my other favorite, Weird Al Yankovic. There's also the Beatles, Jimi Hendrix,
Miss Al.
yeah, the Beach Boys, some of Van Halen, and ZZ Top. And that's not everything I have, but you get a rough estimate. I do also like some really older country songs, but that's kind of just because my grandfather was really into country and my grandmother was really into jazz. Particularly Roy Acuff for my thanks to my grandfather and Glenn Miller, particularly In the Mood. That classic. I think I've covered a good chunk of the bands I'm into, and by extension the genres, being mostly rock and metal, but rock and roll, a little bit of country, a little bit of hip hop. The only things I do not, the one little bit of techno, actually a lot of techno, and a bit of ska even. I do like third wave ska quite a bit. Two Tone Army is a damn good one, and if I played it, you guys might recognize it as a particular intro to a show. Regardless, favorite instruments. Before I ramble on any further, and I've probably wasted like 10 minutes here. I'd have to say,
no trouble.
well, I'm trying to get this quick, so it's not like I could take up the entire fucking podcast with this shit, you know. Anywho, instruments. I can play a little bit of. Personally, I can play a little bit of piano / keyboard and guitar. Although I am severely out of practice because I just haven't had the drive to, and I haven't really learned how to play them. It's mostly by ear, but I still have them, and I still occasionally dabble with them. Mostly just playing bits and pieces of songs I really enjoy. One that I know that Glaive is familiar with, thanks to an anime, One Piece.
Yeah.
As well as bits and pieces of other like theme songs, like Scooby Doo, Addams Family. Actually, fun fact, Addams Family is the reason I learned how to snap. Anyway, yeah, I think I have talked about all I can talk about for this particular subject. That as far as condensed down, without taking up the entire thing.
All right.
So
there's a reason his name is called Too Groovy.
Yeah, let's groove tonight. The spice of life. Okay, I'm not gonna sing any more of that. I do like Earth, Wind, and Fire though.
All right. Thank you for sharing, Groovy.
Yeah, thanks.
It was enlightening for sure. I knew some new things actually. Learned some new things, not new things. That makes no sense.
All right, let's move on to Glaive. What are your musical preferences? Favorite genres, bands, instruments?
It's a lot shorter list. I'm not as music savvy
Inclined?
musically inclined, music savvy, musically entertained, I guess. Like my first CD, I didn't get a CD. I wasn't interested in CDs until like 12 or 13 years of age. And I only got the CD, I think, because my grandparents took us out shopping, and my sister saw some CDs, and she wanted to get one and a CD player. And like, oh, I kind of want a CD and a CD player because I saw kids at school with some. So it was mostly as a fitting in tool, since I had just recently moved, I think, to my new area, and a lot of the teenagers at the time were interested in music. So I went and got some. So I randomly got whatever music had the coolest cover at the time to me when I was looking around. I didn't look at the genre too much. I didn't look at the songs. I just said, oh, that cover looks cool. They probably have cool music. It was before you could sample music in there either. So I was really going in there blind. And I ended up getting 98 Degrees Revelation, which is a pop and R&B band with mostly a romance theme, which was actually a surprise. I'm not really one for romance stuff, but they actually got me into it. Just them in particular. I don't really go out and listen to any kind of romance song now, but they made it. I think it was the lyrics that got to me, and just because it was like the only CD I had, so I had to make the best of it. So there was that, and then after that, like I never went to VH1, never watched MTV, mostly because, like I said, I'm not musically inclined too much. Like it's not something that really entertained me. So watching music just seemed like odd to me because I can listen to music. So why would I want to watch the music? So I never knew music videos existed and that they had a story behind them until late in high school, early college. And then I'm like, oh wow, there's actually some really good video work and editing thing put into this, and the lyrics go a lot deeper than I first thought in some of them because the visuals helped bring that out. But like nowadays, I would say my favorite genre is rock and alternative, and instrumental. So, yeah, those are my top three. If I were to say that, I had iTunes. I still do have iTunes, and those are the three categories that are the biggest. Um, and that's pretty much all of it in terms of the music side. As for instrument side, um, it was a requirement in high school to, I think, take a music class, or some kind of art class. And I already took one art class. I had to take a different kind, so I took music, and as an elective. And I ended up wanting to do trumpet, but I could never, I guess, form my lips correctly. So they bumped me up to baritone, and I did that one a bit. Baritone is a smaller tuba, for those that don't know.
I know. I've done that.
Yeah. But I was never really good at it. I probably just took it for that one time only and never took up an instrument since then. But if I were to play an instrument now, I would really, really, really like to play the piano or learn how to play the piano, because it's just so versatile, and I like the sound of the piano more than any of the other instrument, to me, anyways. But, yep, that's about it.
I can see that. And that's one of the reasons I do try to go with piano/keyboard with more so keyboard, since one, it's a little bit more compact and I can actually have it in almost anywhere I go, and it can sound like, at least mimic the sound of other instruments.
Right.
That's my own little thing there. But that's
really
cool.
Much trouble like it at home.
Well, Glaive, thank you for sharing with your admittedly limited experience in music. I don't think you're that limited, though. Tapazart, same question. What are your musical preferences, favorite genres, bands, and instruments?
Pretty much I like at the base like folk music, whether it's like medieval or like sea shanties or the general things, like either like tongue-in-cheek songs or just like the kind of like things like people stroll along like at restaurants or eateries, that sort of thing is still around. But that was it for the time. But like once I got out and like saw music, it's like there's a lot of different things going on. Classical music was like opera, like classic opera. The pianos and the string instruments. I always enjoyed that. Very calming. Like Beethoven was always like a nice thing to listen to, and like when I want to just like lay there and relax. Also, I heard like you, Groovy, you talked about like AC/DC. Oh, AC/DC is like a good rock band. Rock's surprisingly good. I've taken a liking for heavy metal, like Saxon. They do some good stuff. I don't know. People call Saxon is like metal, but it's more like sounds more like a hard rock for me. It's like when you hear them, like listen, like like banging on the guitar. It's like bam, 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 bam. So it's like it's more like you're like not like getting smashed by a big heavy bass of metal. It's more like you're like getting hit with like a piece of granite. Yeah, rock, hard rock, metal. Jazz is surprisingly smooth. I don't know any artists, but I always enjoyed like saxophone. That's what it's called, the saxophone. That's always like nice to listen to. The squealy and like how sweet everything is. Like jazz, rock, country. So that's what you said, country, like the string instruments, but not like fiddles or cellos or anything like that, but just like the guitar. But it's not quite a loop, but it's like it looks like guitar. I also like those, like the rhythm, the slow, like the sad songs or the cheery songs. Let's see. Instruments. I always had like an interest in like either stringed or the brass things. I did do brass for a time, but eventually just the passion left me, so I just like kind of dropped it. But for a time, I did pretty good.
Hmm.
But that's all I got to say.
Well, thank you for sharing. I will answer now. My musical preferences, I'm a rocker through and through. Mostly stuff from the early 60s to the mid to late 80s. Growing up, that's the only music I was allowed to listen to be honest. And it more than grew on me. It flourished. It's just exploded. I love classic rock. I love heavy metal. And so there's a couple hair metal bands that I like Twisted Sister, Poison,
Classics.
Snake. But my all-time favorite bands would have to be Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Leonard Skinner, and what else? What can I throw in there? What did I forget?
Weird Al Yankovic.
I do like a few of his songs. I will admit that. I guess my preferences aren't completely rock and roll, but there are other songs from different genres that pique my interest. But for the most part, it's only rock. I mean, there's one rap song that I like, and it's not really rappy. It's that Afro Man song, Because I Got High.
Oh yeah, that's a good song.
Oh, that song. Yeah, I'm familiar with that one. I'm not usually one. Like I said, I'm not usually one for like most rap or. I'm really, and I didn't mention this earlier, but one thing I cannot stand is death metal. If I cannot understand the lyrics, I am not going to like the song, even if it has a good beat.
That's.
I would say that's more. I would say Because I Got High is more of a hip hop than rap.
Well, it's one
like
of those
comedy hip hop.
It's kind of one of those. It's something in that sort of genre. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of splitting hairs here.
Yeah, it's in the gray area.
Yeah.
Anywho, continue, Travis.
As for instruments, I can play the ocarina.
Nice.
Ooh.
And people think I'm weird for this. I really enjoy the sound of bagpipes, despite not being able to play them.
They do have a unique sound. Yeah.
I do like the bagpipe. Or actually, if you've sorry, actually, if you like that, you might like this one instrument called the hurdy-gurdy. It sounds very similar to a bagpipe, but it works.
That's another nice one. It's got a nice drone.
Yeah, it's got like a kind of a droning sound with. It looks like a fiddle, but you use a hand crank to turn a wheel.
Oh, I've seen one of those.
Yeah, those sound very similar. It's not the same, but I'll link a video later.
All right.
Mm-hmm. There was someone on my college campus that played the bagpipes really well, actually. So that was pretty interesting experience to see. It was so you always knew where he was at because the campus was small and he would always be outside playing it. So you always gravitate to that sound because no one else sounded like that. And there's like no one else that plays the bagpipes on campus.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, it's a shame.
To be fair, I don't have any experience with them, but excuse me. But I do know that they are tricky to actually play because you have to have enough lung capacity to play them for any real length of time.
You have to have the pipes for the pipes. Also,
I wasn't going to say it, but yeah.
Also, I don't know why banjos get a lot of shit. They're a nice string instrument.
Okay. I actually accidentally skipped our third question. Whoops.
Well, don't mention it's third. We'll edit it. We'll say that it's the fourth.
Okay.
Oh, we weren't really naming them to begin with, so whatever.
All right. The
Nice.
third and or fourth question. Third listed, fourth asked. What are your top 5 favorite fandoms? Be them movies, shows, books, internet stuff, or really whatever you are insanely passionate about. Groovy.
Which one to start with? Well, it's no secret that I'm well, I don't think it's much of a secret, but I'm a fan of My Little Pony: Frontiers of Magic. The older series I can take or leave, but they're not most of them aren't as terrible as you first hear. I do I've been in the Brony fandom since 2012, I think. I remember the exact episode uh, that I first caught live on air, which is actually the famous or infamous one where I can't remember. Put it on the spot. I can't remember the damn episode name, but it's season 2. Derpy actually gets a fucking line and addressed as Derpy Hooves. So there's that. Number 2, I would have to say Doctor Who. I'm more familiar with the reboot, series more than the original. But I do like both. I'm trying to catch up as
So
best
like
I can.
Eccleston and onwards, what you're talking about?
Eccleston to the beginning, the very first episode of the 12th Doctor. I 9, 10, and 11 are the ones I actually watched. I've only seen the first episode with Peter Capaldi. That was his name.
Yeah.
I've not seen anything with this new actress. I do know the Doctor becomes a female in the current version. So
Right.
I mean, it was only a matter of time. Let's be honest. Other fandoms. Let's see. Well, I'm. I mean, I guess fandoms groups. I'm not super. I mean, I'm more of a just a bystander, really. But I do like browsing things of the furry persuasion, and not just the naughty side. Some of it is just plain cute, like just this little. My favorite one of my favorites is this little squirrel or chipmunk that was hanging on, trying to get an acorn, and it's one of those demotivational posters, like, when the moment that bright idea half a second ago isn't good anymore, and the image is the squirrel hanging on the acorn, which is about to fall off with him on it. There's others, but I guess furry, would be a third one.
There's a saying in that somewhere.
I'm sure there is. Fourth, well, by contrast, I do like. I am also a big fan of Back to the Future trilogy. So I guess that's another fandom. I mean, I guess depending on how you look at it, anything's a fandom.
You don't have to come up with 5 if you can.
I know, but I like to challenge myself.
But you're on the 5th one.
4th, 5th, I've lost count. You know what? I'm just gonna say Hazbin Hotel. I love particularly with Alistair. I freaking adore that voice of his.
The radio voice.
Yes, there's something about that like transatlantic voice of the time. That I don't know what it is about it, but it's just cool to hear. And I don't know what number that was, but I'm just gonna cut it there and be done with it.
Trivia about him, so apparently more like disingenuous he is, the more distorted he sounds. So I always wonder, like, if he tells like a flat out lie, does he just like you can't like hear him? All you hear is like a big like long line of static.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Oh, Groovy, thank you for sharing. Glaive, what are your top favorite fandoms? Your top 5 or however many you can list.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do 5. I probably I was trying to look up what fandom was, and apparently, yeah, anything can become a fandom by the definition I found. So things I was a fan of. Well, growing up, I was once a big fan of Pokemon, but that's kind of divulged into just the games mostly now. I stopped watching the anime back with Johto, I think. Um, but I do like the Pokemon genre. I always get the new games when they come out. Um, and I do, and then growing up, I also liked Yu-Gi-Oh. So that's another fandom I was a part of. Um, I stopped with Yu-Gi-Oh watching the shows. I think after the third arc, like 5Ds. Yeah, I think I stopped watching after that. And then I do watch Doctor Who, as was kind of, I guess, obvious when I mentioned Eccleston. Um, I too watched it during the resurgence, the reboot. I haven't seen really anything of Chris Eccleston. I kind of joined late. I got into it because someone on the forum was a huge Doctor Who fan and would always post stuff regarding David Tennant and other episodes. And there was one episode that was linked called Blink.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
As you can tell, I love that episode.
Yeah,
a lot.
that was the episode that got me into it because they showed a clip from it and it got me kind of interested in what's going on. This is the scariest Doctor Who I've ever seen. I'm not into scary stuff, but there was something that was intriguing with the way they were doing it. I think it was the clip with the Doctor just talking to himself, like
the video to the camera. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So that clip got me into it because his mannerisms and the way he was talking, I guess, got me hooked. I don't know. Yeah. But I've seen enough of it, and up to that point, I'm like, okay, this looks interesting now. Let me go and check out what this is all about. So I watched Blink. I don't know if that was the best thing or worst thing to do as a first Doctor Who episode to go into, but after watching it, I did get hooked, and I was like, I got to see more of this. So I saw more of David Tennant. I haven't seen all of them yet. I still am watching bits and pieces. So the 10th Doctor got me into it. Then I watched Matt Smith, who was the 11th Doctor. I still haven't seen all the episodes of that one either. And then I got to see the 12th Doctor with Capaldi. He's kind of up there. He has grown on me as one of my favorite Doctors. As a bittersweet kind of moment, my uncle died, and he was a Doctor Who fan.
Aww.
And all of his, it's what it is, unfortunately. But all his stuff, his Doctor Who stuff, he had DVDs of all the seasons, all the special episodes and stuff, going way, way back. I didn't know he was such a Doctor Who fan, but he was, and I ended up getting his stuff. So I have a whole box full of nothing but Doctor Who DVDs, and it's a big box, and it's still kind of overfilling a bit. So I've been kind of binging on that every now and then when I have free time, and I've caught up still on a few. I still need to see some of the stuff, but yeah, Doctor Who I'm big on. Not as big as other Whovians. I don't consider myself a Whovian because I'm into Doctor Who, but I'm not deep into the lore aspect. I wish I was, but I kind of just get my enjoyment from watching the movies more than delving into all the bits and pieces that make up the Who universe. So yeah, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Doctor Who, anime as a whole, I would say I'm a fandom of. More into the Bishonen and adventure type animes than anything else, such as One Piece, Dragon Ball Z, Bleach, Full Metal Alchemist, stuff like that. My first anime ever was introduced to me by a friend. I used to watch it on Cartoon Network. I didn't know it was called anime at the time. It was Speed Racer. That was my first anime I was exposed to.
Yeah. I honestly, who among us can say that we even knew what anime was when we were growing up? It was just badass cartoons on TV.
Yeah, I mean, Pokemon wasn't anime, but we never saw it as anime. We just saw it as a cartoon. At least I did.
I think
I didn't
everyone
really.
did.
Yeah.
It's like he's going over the cliff.
Yeah. So yeah, Speed Racer was an interesting one. Growing up. But my first real anime, I would say, was introduced to me back in seventh grade, and it was Trigun. And I remember going over to a friend's house, and he was showing me all this Japanese cartoons, and one of them was Trigun. And we saw the first episode, and I'm like, I gotta see the rest of this. This is really cool. He also introduced me to Final Fantasy. It was Final Fantasy X at the time, and that's when I went and got Final Fantasy X a little bit after that. And so I got into that a bit. So yeah, anime, Doctor Who, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon. Yeah, 3 of the things I just listed were anime stuff, wasn't it?
Kind of.
Yeah.
But to be
So
fair, yeah. And if I had thought about it at the time or thought to do that, yeah, I would totally put anime and gaming on my list as well. Because,
definitely.
but I
All right.
digress.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if you count that as 4 or 1 and 2. I don't know. But is there anything else that I'm huge on? I can't really say. And like to agree with it, it was YouTube that kind of broadened my horizons a bit to a lot of other anime out there. Same with an old site that's still running actually called Gaia Online.
Oh my god, Gaia.
Yeah, Gaia was big in the early 2000s. It's kind of died off now, but it was I guess it was as big as Skype. I don't know. You had avatars though, which was kind of interesting. Little mini games and forums.
I didn't get very into that. This is cool, and I picked it up for like 3 days, haven't touched it again, and then like years later, I come like, I'll try it again. My account's been disabled because no activity.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a more fun thing if you have friends that play it, and even by yourself, if you know where to go, you can make friends. Like I went to there's like a fishing aspect, and they had these dedicated rooms, and one of the rooms was like a truth or dare room. So you would actually, I'm digressing. We're talking about fandoms. Hold on. Put that aside.
Now you know how I feel when I go off on a random tangent.
Yeah. So let me put that aside for another time.
Yeah, Guideline, they got sucked in because of the lore of the comics and stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, just those 4 I'm gonna list.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing, Glaive. Topazart, same question. What are your top favorite fandoms?
I'd say the top one would have to be D&D. It's a very fun aspect of pretty much brain testing. I'm sort of like a brain teacher. How do you having to figure out puzzles, combat encounters, and social interactions without getting yourself killed in the various gruesome ways you can actually get killed. Those simulations, and for the most part, they get a number of things right and they get a number of things wrong. But you can't get that perfect thing because that would be just just a pain he has to do. Second thing would have to be Harry Potter.
Okay.
That is a good one. Not so much. I'm more familiar with the movies than the books, but I do have most of the books.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've read the books. I've seen the movies. Pretty interesting, that concept. Young kid, gifted, finds himself he just doesn't fit in and figures out, there's a whole other world, and I actually enjoy it. And then wrapped up in Fang, having to face the Fang, and eventually
the whole Zero to Hero.
Yeah, Zero the Hero, and making friends along the way and seeing all kinds of fantastic things. Exploring a world that he's always glad to come back to. Third thing that I enjoy is have you ever heard this thing called Homestuck?
Oh
I'm
yeah,
I'm
I
familiar
never
with
got
it.
into it, but
Yeah, I'm familiar
I've
with
heard
it,
of it.
and but I've never bothered with it just because it just seemed kind of weird, especially with the thing with the buckets.
Yeah. It's a very lengthy story, but and quite the interesting alien race this person's come up with. I like the story because it's not so much as like it's like sort of like an old it's like one of the older like sayings. It's not the destination. It's the
the journey.
way you take towards it. It's the journey.
Yeah,
And that's what it is. It's like it was never about the destination. It was the journey all along. I always I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the various characters, John.
Well,
Oh.
Gandalf and Frodo will disagree with you. It's all about destination.
I actually get that now.
Maybe to go back to Harry Potter, I always enjoyed that character Hagrid.
Oh yeah, he's a very wholesome person.
Hagrid was probably my favorite of the, I guess, tertiary characters. Not so much main, but
Yeah.
Oh yeah, support characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just he makes his entrance bursting down the door and said, "Sorry about that." Puts it back in the place.
And then sorry. Here's the cake. Sorry if it's squished.
I shouldn't have said that.
And then there's that Dursley jerk that's pointing a shotgun. I was like, try it, Dursley, a great crew. Squeak. I always loved doing that. So points a gun at me, just bend the barrel.
Yep, a very gentle giant. Well, half giant.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not. Homestuck.
Yeah, I wish we got to meet his folks though. We never got to meet his parents.
Well, apparently, you can. Apparently, they are briefly mentioned in the books, according to one video I was watching.
They are. I just wish we met them in the film.
That would be nice, though. Even if nothing else, a flashback or something.
He loved his father, but he could have cared less about his mother. But let's see. Harry Potter, Homestuck. Yeah, just that Homestuck, just a very interesting alien race and civilization. The poor kids, just their entire life is based on war and violence, and I see how it is, and just completely confounds them. What these humans how do you live like this? And now they're how do you live like you? Quite the culture shock. Fourth thing I'm about to say is the Gorillas.
Oh, the band?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they do have a kind of a universe in there.
Yeah, the story that they present, the hijinks they get up to, I always find them interesting.
I do love the mockumentary type thing that they did in the faux MTV Cribs. That was a good one.
Yep. Yeah, and there are the sort of biography they also put out. Learned a lot of the stuff about them. Also, kind of glad they got out of that plastic beach mess.
I suppose. I mean, Plastic Beach as an album is all right. I think it's probably not the strongest, but there's still enough that I still like it and got the album.
Let's see. Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. They did a really good job with the movies. Even The Hobbit, even though that's kind of a, some are
adaptation.
Fans of it, others aren't.
My brother would have a lot to talk about.
I'm gonna reserve judgment for The Hobbit and the third movie until I actually see them, which will be hopefully tonight.
Oh, cool! Yeah, it's a great series.
It does pain me to know that I've only recently seen the first two Lord of the Rings movies. But at least I have seen them now.
Yeah, they have been out for a while.
Yeah. You remind me of Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh, that's a good fan. Them part of. Yeah, I like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, I like that too.
I need to watch those
They
again.
They should have stopped like focusing on Jack Sparrow and just like kind of expanded on the universe.
Yeah, but the Jack Sparrow kind of carries the whole thing now. I mean, I don't know if they could do one without him now. They kind of relied on him too heavily.
Oh, well, that's their fault.
I mean, let's see. Like, just to get back to the Hobbit. Yeah, Lord of the Rings. It's like the books. I enjoyed the books and I enjoy the movies just for different reasons. In my opinion, the Hobbit movie is okay as long as just like you're like don't try and compare to the book.
You'll be disappointed.
Bless you, Harry. Bless you, Travis. Yeah. The movie by itself is good, but don't compare it to the book. The book is good, but you just couldn't like make an accurate movie to the book because it would be too lengthy. And it's more or less like a narration. It's pretty much Bilbo narrating his adventures from Middle Earth, and that does not make for an exciting movie to watch. That's more like watching a documentary. Enough said.
Yeah, they also took some liberties too, some things.
Yeah. I also enjoyed Gandalf. He's not just like me. He doesn't like just trying to throw all his tricks and magic tricks and spells and stuff all at once. He likes to think and use the tools and stuff. But that's what I enjoy.
I mean, that was just cool. And what my dad had me convinced was that it was a low budget movie. He claimed that they just raided a local high school for their armor and basically bought a bunch of vehicles and smashed them up. He thought it was low budget, but in reality, they spent $50 million on that film back in '81.
Okay, hopefully this won't affect it too much because first the recording stopped for some reason. I don't know where.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to. I mean, to be fair, we went on for a fairly lengthy time. Let me bring that up real quick.
Maybe next.
We should probably be heading to bed soon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we can probably. I don't know. I'm gonna quickly look for. Okay, it's under videos. Videos, damn it. Captures. Random. Recording.
Sorry for the technical difficulties, folks.
Yeah. Oh, brother.
Maybe next time we should limit it to just 3 questions.
Possibly. Granted, I ate up like 20 minutes with my music answer. I'm gonna have to the first 2 Lord of the Rings movies. Yeah, but at least I have.
No one's blaming you too, Groovy. We all want to get insight onto the minds of the grooviness.
I know. Crap.
You remind me of Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh, that's a good.
Stuff
I like the Star Wars franchise too.
Oh yeah, I grew up with the first 3 films. I mean, that was.
Then that's another fandom I'm a part of. Then too. I'm not super into it, but I do love the films quite a bit.
That's what I enjoy.
Star Wars: A New Hope was the first movie I saw in theaters when it came out. It was re-released in the late '90s as right before Episode 1 came out, and my grandfather took me to it. And he wasn't a science fiction fan. He was an old mountain man from West Virginia, and the woman he was dating had kids that wanted to see it, and I got to tag along, and that was an experience and a half for me.
I bet. Okay. Also, looks like we caught it just in time because it stopped right as you were answering your start to answer your thing, Travis.
Oh, okay.
So that's not too terrible. Annoying, but not too terrible.
Okay.
I remember my
I'll,
father describing to me like when he first saw like the original airing of like the first like Star Wars movie.
Wait,
Like
what?
they had like a special modifiers. Like my father described it once, like when he first when he saw like the first Star Wars movie, first in the theaters.
Yeah.
And you know how like the chase scene, like the you see the like the little like rebel ship like zoom by. It's like, oh, that's pretty big, and they just like because of how they had like the screen, how they had the speakers. When the big like imperial starship came rumbling in, it's like you literally felt like he said he like you literally felt the room shake as you just like saw it seem like to go on forever and that like for a long time. It's like what? It's like the real ship looked big, but it's like the starship's like colossal. So it just seems like they get the entire screen just like rumbles along for the longest time. Like that was his like first thing. It's like I also enjoy the bit where Lucas gets attacked by the Sand people. It's like Obi-Wan comes in next to the crate dragon Cole. I don't like how they changed it up. They should just like kept it as it really was.
Okay. So, do you want to try it over again with your question, your answer to that, Travis?
All right. I'll make the Road Warrior part short. Saw it with my dad one night, and it blew my mind. Wow. I've always, ever since then, I've been a Mad Max nut, and it's more of a fandom of post-apocalyptica than just Mad Max, to be honest.
Like a
Terminator.
Fallout meeting. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I guess another fandom of mine now, this one's going to seem weird, but nuclear weapons.
Okay.
I am fascinated by the idea of a device that has so much power contained in such a small body.
Welcome to the internet.
Well, okay. It's just awe-inspiring. I watch the old Bikini Atoll test footage all the time. I mean, I've seen the documentaries. I've learned a lot about Chernobyl and 3 Mile Island, Fukushima, the Mayak disaster. It's just fascinating to me. I can't explain it. Well, I guess I just did.
Yeah.
Big things in small packages.
I mean, that's sort of my fascination with digital information. Like, 40 years ago in the 80s, we had floppy diskettes that could hold kilobytes of data, which was good at the time. But now we have solid-state drives that are terabytes, literally terabytes of information that you could have. It just dumbfounds me that, like, even
we sent people to the moon with 4 kilobytes of like RAM or something.
Yeah. There's more computing power in a digital watch than there was in the Saturn V rocket, from what I understand.
And certainly your common cell phone.
Oh yeah, that's
a whole nother thing.
Yeah. Okay, so I listed post-apocalyptica, atomic bombs, which kind of go hand in hand. I'd have to say the Terminator movies are another fandom of mine. That was one of the first movies I can remember watching was Terminator 2. And apparently I watched it so much as a kid that the tape broke.
Oh, wow.
I feel like the same thing probably would have happened if I had played Bravely Toaster any more times than I already had.
You watched it? I thought you were scared of the clown part of that movie. Was that someone else?
That's clowns is Travis's fear.
That's
I'm
what
not.
it was. Yeah, Travis.
Yeah, thank you, Tim Curry.
Yeah, there's a story behind that.
Oh, you watched It? Is that where it came from, watching It?
Yeah, when I was like 6 or 7 years old.
Oh, Yeah, that's not a movie you should watch when you're 7.
Well,
Yep.
You know what? That's an idea for another episode. We're getting off topic.
yeah. That does tie into my, let's see, my fourth fandom would have to be Stephen King. His works, I have just about every one of his books, most from hardcover. And I've seen just about every Stephen King movie that's come out. And there's actually a little story as to why I like Stephen King so much. Back when Harry Potter was just becoming popular in America, I wanted one of those books because everyone else was reading them. But my grandmother is kind of a religious zealot.
Oh, no wizardry. No Satan stuff or devil worship. I know the whole shtick, and it's very similar to how Dungeons and Dragons was treated back in the old days.
Yeah, this old woman actually organized a book burning to get rid of. Trying to get rid of Harry Potter off the face of the earth.
Oh yeah, let's do what Hitler did.
Yeah.
Lovely. Lovely connection there.
So instead of getting me a Harry Potter book, my aunt, she got me a Stephen King novel, particularly Black House, which devolves into basically an interdimensional child molester that kidnaps psychic kids.
Well then.
Yeah, I like that city.
Great
pick.
Way to overstep a pothole to fall off a bridge. And
more like to wait to, it's more like way to overstep like the freaking cotton candy stall and fall off the bridge.
But I have my crazy grandmother to blame for my love of Stephen King in a weird sort of way.
At least inadvertently, I think.
Yeah. And a fifth fandom. What would that be? I guess I'd have to say horror movies. I, for some reason, like most horror movies don't scare me anymore. And to be honest, they really didn't. The first horror movie I can remember watching, I probably told you all this, George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, the black and white
Love
version.
it. And oh man, yeah, and horror movies is another thing I'm into. So I guess that's like number 6 at this point. Anyway,
you guys are braver men than me. That's all I gotta say.
Most horror. I agree with you, Travis. Most horror things don't scare me. It's just clowns do it for you. For me, for a time it was like werewolves, but I've gone over that when I was younger. Like,
which is a good thing considering my OC.
Werewolves, house and werewolves just made me cover my face because I didn't want to see it. Because it would give me nightmares. It's like, but just weird demonic images of dogs just like make me want to go run for the hills. It just freaked me out.
Like the Baskerville Hound?
Oh, that fucking wishbone thing.
Oh, wishbone.
Oh, wait. Are you talking about the Halloween episode? Or oh god.
No, the Hound of the Baskervilles thing. Just that freaking like.
I don't remember that particular episode, but that's neither here nor there. I do remember that show. I loved it. But there is one episode, the Halloween episode, that scared the shit out of me.
Of Wishbone?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't like. Yeah.
If you don't remember, it was the episode where there was like a Halloween treasure hunt thing, and there was the story. Wishbone's story was, of course, the legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, okay.
But the thing that scared the shit out of me was like this demon cat that in the main story with the owner, Joe, because he got freaked out by a cat in an old abandoned house. Like, oh, it was just a cat, and then later in the last shot is this like demon cat's eyes after the just peering in the darkness. Scared the fuck out of me.
Yeah, there's quite a few things that they let kids watch back then that were kind of on the scary side. like Goosebumps,
And,
and
like,
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Oh, Goosebumps.
I love Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Both the show and the
Just
books.
to laugh off. Yeah, just to laugh off the fear. It's like, if you misbehave before you die in the basement, the demon cat.
If you want to talk about unintentional childhood trauma, I've got a little story. It's not really connected, but it's popped into my head.
We can tag it on the end as like a stinger.
All right, then. Let's go on to our fifth and final question for the night. That would be, who or what do you consider an influence towards your creative side? Too Groovy, go.
Oh, I want to say, kind of going, okay, I'm going to backfill just a tiny bit. One other thing I'm really into is vehicles, particularly classic cars and trucks. And one person that was influential in getting me started in this and wanting to make project cars and even putting some model kits together would have to be a guy by the name of Stacy David. He was the host of a show in the late 90s and early 2000s called Trucks. It was part of the Spike TV Power Block every Saturday and Sunday. Anywho, he mostly just showed like DIY ways of like modifying your truck, and that also led me to the other shows like Horsepower TV, Extreme 4x4, and eventually Muscle Car. All of which you can probably guess what the main objective is. Which also got rebranded later on as to, with other shows. But the point is that Stacey David was the first one in that lineup. I just love the way he his attitude with showing just how difficult something can be, what the right way to the right process of doing it is. He eventually got his own show, made his own show called Stacey David's Gears, which is just encompassing all aspects, not just trucks. Hell, one of the first episodes I think I showed you, Travis, is him putting together it's called a V8 powered bar stool.
Okay.
Basically, it's a V8 engine with a garden tractor transmission and go-kart steering, and you sit on top of the damn thing with an actual bar stool seat.
Wow.
But that's not all that. But that's just one of the wilder things that he's done. I mean, if you, I could list all the other all the projects that he's done, but I digress. Some of the people that have influenced me or I look up to, I guess, would be, I'm gonna say to a point, Mel Blanc. I don't I don't consider myself a voice actor. I wouldn't mind being one, and I just have a fascination with this guy did nearly every freaking voice of the Looney Tunes and then some. It just blows my mind. You were basically my childhood. And the sad thing is I'll never be able to meet him since he died the year before I was born. But it's still, he voiced so many cartoons that I loved. Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig, Foghorn Leghorn. Just pretty much all of them, really. Let's see. Another one. I mean, I'm not that creative. I'm not an artist. But I would say I'm having trouble with this.
That's a difficult question. I mean,
yeah, I know. I mean, it's a pretty heavy question, but I wasn't really prepared for it either. So, but hey, whatever. The show must go on.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll bow out with that one.
All right. Clave, who or what would you consider an influence towards your creative side?
I would say growing up, it was a lot of Sesame Street, a lot of Reading Rainbow, and a lot of Mr. Rogers. All of them had a big impact on me growing up with their wholesomeness, positivity, generosity, and just my whole, I guess, environment as well was always inspiring and uplifting for the most part. I didn't really grow up to be discouraged in anything too much. If well, I had great supportive friends growing up as well. Everyone's just pretty much looking out for one another. So that's definitely a good foundation, a good soil to plant any kind of inspirations that you might have. So, and creativity was always my biggest thing. So I ended up being pursuing like making my own stories. Even as kids growing up in middle school, we ended up making our own little comic strips and sharing them with one another. And that later divulged into me wanting to become a writer. But then I switched majors, ended up going into graphic design and graduating with that. And then, so I've been devolved, and ever since then, I've been mostly into creative aspect of things. Even now, I'm busy making AMVs and sprites for characters, fighting characters in a game called Mugen, open source fighting game.
Nice.
And what else I've been doing lately with creativity wise? Like I've been doing logo designs, designing book covers, doing a whole lot of different odd jobs, freelance stuff. But mostly right now I'm doing IT stuff, which is like kind of the opposite of creative. It's on the logical end of the spectrum. But I enjoy that too because I also enjoy puzzles, and being an IT person, I'm troubleshooting a lot, and that's kind of like a big puzzle or mystery side of thing. So, yeah.
Also, before we go much further, I do have one addition to my list before, and that is Jim Henson in general. I mean,
yeah, with the Muppets.
Muppets, some of Sesame Street, Fraggle Rock, and just there's a bunch of others. But yeah, carry on. I just want to get that out of the way.
Well, I'm pretty much through. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing. Tapazart, who or what would you consider influence towards your creative side?
For me, fantasy in general, whether it be Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Redwall, but those kinds of books and like material, but also I have to say my father was always like a bit of a big influence, of the stories he would tell me or read to me, and sharing with me his own passion when it came to that kind of genre. Always like would give me ideas like how things would work, or how you would do this or how you would do that. And he was a big part in like shaping how I do like the setting that I have thought up and the characters I've made, and had a part in like me being who I am, as you know.
Yeah.
Looking out for people, trying to do right, not being an ass. But that's what I would have to say. Like just that kind of like genre of my father, like were like the shaping points and my imagination. Short and sweet, yeah.
That was a very good answer.
Yep.
My turn to answer, and I would have to say my mother. She really supported me during my childhood with drawing and painting. And, well, to put it blunt, she was the one that taught me that horror can be funny. And there's a little story behind that. It was when my brother and I and her watched Night of the Living Dead, the Romero version. And there's a scene where the little girl in the basement turns into a zombie, and she picks up a garden trowel and starts stabbing her mother with it. My brother and I were glued to the screen during that entire scene, and my mother just busted out laughing. And we looked at her, and she's making a stabbing motion with her hand, and she says, "The girl looks like she's making mashed potatoes."
I'm not going to unsee that now.
From that point, the movie was a comedy to us. I mean, and then later we watched the Evil Dead series, and
Another classic.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. another.
very neat.
And for another influence, I'd have to say my high school art teacher, Mrs. Schneid. She really pushed me. She really got me to use my creative juices for constructive things. Like, I was in charge of decorating the school windows for sporting events. And I did these paintings on the windows, and she would, of course, supervise, so I wasn't painting dicks or anything. But, yeah, she was a big influence on me becoming an artist, and I guess I have to say I blame Akira Toriyama for getting me into drawing anime-style characters. For those that don't know, Akira Toriyama is the creator of Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, GT,
Yep.
and Super.
Yep.
And that's all I have to say about that. And we are out of questions, which I reckon that means that we'll be coming to a close on this podcast. I'd like to thank Too Groovy, Glaive, and Tabazart for being such good sports through this. And and hopefully we'll see you next time, everybody. Listeners, take care.
Have a good night.
Sayonara.
Later.
Later, Gators.
Okay, I think I'm going to stop it now.
All right. So in the first grade, I remember we watched this overhead projector video when it was about the solar system. They're talking about all the planets, and they started talking about the sun. They mentioned that the sun has a fuel source, how it takes in hydrogen and then fuses it into helium, and it creates thermonuclear heat. And they said that eventually the sun was going to run out of nuclear fuel. One of the guys asked, "Well, how long is that going to be?" And the scientists on the movie said, "Eventually." As
I
a
mean, you're
kid,
not wrong.
Oh,
that scared the shit out of me. For like an entire year, I walked around appreciating everything to its fullest because I thought the sun was going to die in like a year or two.
Eventually, yeah, that could be an hour from now. It could be 5 billion years.
I remember wondering, are we gonna live to see another Christmas?
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow, that's nutty.
I can just see like the time card from SpongeBob. Eventually, and it cuts to Travis just panicking in the hallway of school, looking nervous and biting his nails.
You're probably not wrong. Hey, that's a comic idea.
yeah, what, traumatizing kids?
Well,
Nah.
I don't know.
I
like,
remember
don't
there's one scene that I still can't watch to this day because it freaked me out as a kid, and I can't watch it now. It was a Are You Afraid of the Dark episode, and it was I forget the name of the episode. Oh, we out of time?
No, just I was gonna try to guess it. Like,
Oh, okay.
The Curse of Dead Man's Float.
No, it wasn't that.
Okay.
So it was I remember it was someone was going into a hospital or something, and it was like really dark and kind of abandoned.
Oh,
and
I think I know what you're talking about. It was the vampire episode.
Oh, I don't know, but he would follow this like I can't remember all of it. I remember like one scene from it, and it was that scene. And there's like a flash forward. Well, there's not a flash forward. I'm saying later on in the episode, he's like down in the basement or something, and there's like a fire, and he's looking to the fire for something, and then he sees this girl come around the corner, and she says to follow him around the corner somewhere. So he does, and when he does, the ugliest, scariest looking
green
face
skin,
ever.
Green skin thing almost.
Yeah, I repressed a lot of details about what that thing looks like, but it was
that's the vampire episode, the vampire at the hospital, where.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. Well, I repressed that thing so hard now that I can't. All I can know that was a scary face and it was green, but I can't get any other details. But I know it's pretty detailed and pretty gross and pretty scary, and I can't watch that episode to this day because it freaked me out as a kid because it was on Nick at Night or something like that.
I don't blame you because that would be kind of freaky. None of them, and I'm hopefully okay. I'm just gonna say this before we get too far off topic. I will say Dead Man's Float was the one that really did it for me. That and the there's actually two. Dead Man's Float, which was season 2, episode 1, I think, where this kid gets drowns in a swimming pool, and a spec in years later, the pool gets reopened, and things start in this like zombie ghost thing that they basically pour acid in an acid in the water to make it so they can see it, and it looks like this red zombie ghost thing that can travel through the plumbing.
Wow. I never saw that episode. I'm glad I didn't, because I think that first episode I mentioned was what turned me off to horror genre in general, because I can't do any scary stuff at all anymore. I get freaked out playing the Batman games because I'm scared of going around the dark corners. And seeing, like,
you would be a terrible Batman.
Yeah, I would. I can't do scary games at all. I tried doing it recently. I tried playing 4 days, or what was it 4 Days Until Dead? Something like that. You play the game a lot. Dead Until Dawn. I forget what it's called.
7 Days
Dead
to
by
Die?
Daylight. Dead by Daylight and 7 Days to Die. Yeah, I tried playing those games with a friend. I can't. I was sweating bullets playing any of those games. I wasn't even getting scared. I was just traumatized. I can't watch it. I think the last scary movie I actually sat through completely was The Ring.
Oh.
And that just cemented it even further. Like, I can't do scary movies. After this, I'm done. I'm not going to watch any more scary movies. I am done.
I got an interesting little thing to say about that.
Okay.
I actually saw The Ring in theaters with my mother and my brother. And, towards the end, the really scary moment where the little girl starts crawling out of the TV?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, right as that was happening, someone behind me grabbed me by the shoulder.
Oh! Dick!
I jumped up screaming.
As anyone would.
I'm sorry, but that is... At least that's a better... that's only slightly better than one embarrassing one you told me about involving your brother in a certain scene. So-and-so's got a Woody.
Yeah.
Was it Toy Story?
Not that kind of Woody, my friend. You're too innocent for this world.
How do I explain that?
Yeah, that's for a later thing, and this is getting dangerously close to being cut from the thing. Do we still have another question after this?
We do have one, but we can skip it if we're
fine on time. The last one lasted roughly an hour, and we only have 20 minutes on this one, so I can just splice them together easily.
Okay.
I just want to talk